And away we go.
Okay. So things are picking up with the tariff war in China.
It sure is.
I think China's facing the brunt of it more than the US. I think they're struggling a lot more than the rest of them. Supposedly, Apple's about to move massive amounts of their iPhone manufacturing for the US to India. Another manufacturing is going to Vietnam. China's fucked. And there's big parts in the CCP that would quite honestly would love to see Xi Jinping get fucking ousted. Do you think we'll ever see the collapse of the CCP?
No.
Why not?
Because what else is there besides CCP? And how long will they last from this moment on?
Who's to say that literally they won't inspire the freaking Chinese people to freaking revolt and revolution? Who's to say that Chinese won't revolt and literally just decide to freaking break away from China? Who knows? Xi is effectively wanting to freaking seize the assets of the wealthy Chinese elite, right? That he openly said that in a document. The working class Chinese has nothing to lose. The elites, potentially, if they keep following Xi, they will lose all their money. Didn't American elites didn't the American elites a long time ago use their political power to freaking start an armed rebellion against the British, which they used as their way to freaking form their own nation?
I've heard that story before.
Who's to say that freaking the Chinese people, the very powerful Chinese people that quite honestly would probably be more willing to freaking have a conservative government, right? Or quite honestly have like elections and effectively allow the people to have vote and more of a say, as long as they can keep the status quo of business. Because the second generation, right? They're business people now. They're not in government. They were ousted out of government. They were basically put into freaking outside into freaking businesses. They just want a stable environment to do business. They want to do trade with the other foreign nations. They want a stable business environment. And if they can create a stable business environment by creating a new government, creating a new country, well, I'm not saying they're going to take all. I'm not saying these elites want all of China. I think at certain points, there's certain parts of China that quite honestly might be a strategic disadvantage. Ain't there certain parts of China that are like being left behind and abandoned? And they're focusing more on certain areas than the east and the cities. But yeah. So what else is there?
I'll check. The debate was a leader versus party contest between Polyev and Carney, with no clear winner.
So when do their elections happen?
Last time I remember, I think it's in a couple days, the Canadian general election.
Well, both guys are shit. Pierre Polyev is basically pro-immigration, pro-migrant, and Carney, he's pro-WEF and globalist, who quite honestly is still pro-migrant and pro-illegal. Doesn't matter what you kid yourself, Peary is still still WEF. And I used to think he would be a great prime minister. He's no different than Nigel Farage. He's not willing to do what it takes. But yeah. So what else?
Let's see what else there is. Patients urged to check packs of blood pressure medicine. What's not good? Yep, we've already mentioned that. A conservation group on Wednesday named the Mississippi River the most endangered river of 2025, citing threats to abolish the Federal Emergency Management Agency, which plays a key role in federal flood management. Lily Pill helps diabetes patients lose weight by nearly 8%. Orforglipron, a once daily oral therapy, shows significant blood sugar and weight reduction in phase 3 trial, paving the way for regulatory submissions in 2025 and 2026. The Chinese AI pioneer DeepSeek branded profound threat to US national security. Well, the World Health Organization member countries agree on a draft pandemic treaty to try to avoid COVID-19 mistakes. The treaty includes provisions for sharing virus samples and ensuring equitable access to tests, vaccines, and medicine. Is it? Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. I see. No, they don't. US airstrikes targeting a Yemeni oil port killed 20 people. At least not now, but over time, there will come a point. The attack on Ras Izzat port aimed to degrade Houthi revenue sources as the group vows continued resistance and retaliation. Let's see. White House. Shabu. Venice expands its day tripper tax program to combat over-tourism. Venice is charging day trippers to the famed Canal City an arrivals tax for the second year starting Friday, a measure aimed to combating the kind of over-tourism that puts the city's UNESCO World Cultural Heritage status at risk. Of course. Well, of course, it's going to come to that point, risk. They don't. Those people in this world only care about what they want to hear, not what is out there, what's in the open. That's how the world is, mostly. Heavy spring snowstorm wreaks havoc in the Alps. Two men on their way to help with rescue efforts were found. It was, yeah. But even I find that very strange, given that you will allow them to do whatever, even if you disagree with it. Even I find that strange. And although I might have said something similar to that, like, I'll allow you to live your life, we'll live out our lives. Do whatever you want. But just understand there are risks and there are consequences to whatever that we're doing. And I'll leave it at that. Yeah, it's all part of the script. Yes, exactly. Unless, of course, we're one of those people that is part of the script, and we could do something, but it only comes at the cost that we might be expelled, exiled, or possibly unalived. Photographer Fatima Hassouna killed ahead of Khan's documentary debut. What is? The part of removing the farmers, what I've heard. Big Pharma. Actually, yeah, I'm for going against Big Pharma because were they? Oh, wow, that's quite the shock. The Palestinian photojournalist Fatima Hassouna, killed along with 10 family members in an Israeli airstrike on her home in northern Gaza, is the star of a documentary due to be screened at the Cannes Film Festival next month. So yes, I've heard so much about that. That is going to be very exciting. Yeah. Well, of course, yeah. It sure will be. Why wouldn't they? No, I think most Lord of the Rings filming took place in New Zealand. Oh yeah, that the writer was British. No, Sonic has tons of potential, especially after its recent movies. Yeah, they can. It is, yes. Nice. It sure will be. Netflix, its theme park in the UK, it's going to do massive wonders. I think, yeah, I think a lot of companies would suddenly get into theme parks for sure. Like, I've heard that the reason why Lego has become so profitable and successful is not just the Lego sets they sell, but it's also their theme parks they have around the world. And people have wondered if Lego Land did not exist, would Lego as a company still exist today? So I think so it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense to have different companies set up their own theme parks, showcasing all of their IP. Because I think it's great for the family, and it's also a good opportunity to promote whatever media or content that such company has to offer. Yes. UK becoming Canada's province. I think we have to wait to see if Canada wants to advance talks with the EU before considering if Canada and the UK connect with closer ties than they currently do now. Absolutely. Mostly, but not completely. How so? That's going to be a lot of pressure. Well, China has a big population. They'll find a way. Yeah. It's very unfortunate. Let's just say Oh yes, struggling Ivory Coast cocoa farmers are worried about US tariff plans. Ivory Coast cocoa farmers are struggling due to adverse weather and diseases, according to Conan Yao. Farmers are concerned about President Donald Trump's proposed 21% tariff on cocoa imports, as it could destabilize their market, warned local authorities. Yeah, it shows that how dependent many nations are on the US for their exports and imports and other trade deals. It's quite unfortunate. But at some point, it's going to happen. And here we are. It's happening right now. What more is there? Drake attacks Lamar's Super Bowl performance in lawsuit against record label. Drake filed an amended defamation complaint in New York federal court against Universal Music Group. The lawsuit stems from Universal Music Group's promotion of Kendrick Lamar's song Not Like Us, alleging it fueled false claims. A lot. Maybe. Not yet. Well, in the next few years, well, unfortunately, there's still going to be a flow of immigration coming to the UK, and then that comes to a point about what the culture of the UK will turn into in the next decade or two. And then, and it's from that point, there will be discussions about the importance and the relevance of the royal family in England. Honestly, I don't see much of a change between the UK being part of the EU and not being part of the EU. Yes, but on the account that the UK government doesn't have to spend like £100 million or euros each year to even be a member of the EU, so I think the only benefit of not being part of the EU is the UK government actually has some couple £1 million to save. Yes, possibly. I'm not going to say it's China, but I'm also not saying it's going to be the United States, because the US has already had its day as being the nation that has all the influence and all the attention globally. As a collective, yes, but individually, not so much. India's not. I don't think India's quite there yet to be the. Yeah. No, that's a trick question. Well, yes, it's possible. It does not help that many wealthy millionaires and billionaires are leaving the UK and living in other countries. Yeah, mostly of the taxes, especially how much the taxes are rising. It's disincentivizing, or at least it repels wealthy individuals from actually investing into the UK. Yes, well, do what the US has been doing for many years. Oh yes, invest in the military. Yes, absolutely. Ding ding ding, right on the bell. I think there's more? Most likely not. Maybe. The best chances could be for Alberta. Possibly Saskatchewan, but most certainly Alberta as the most likely. Surprisingly, no. I don't see why not. Well, that could be something. Who knows? NASA's Lucy gears up for a thrilling close encounter with a mysterious space relic. NASA's Lucy spacecraft will swoop past a small asteroid this weekend as it makes its way to an even bigger prize: the unexplored swarms of asteroids out near Jupiter. It will be the second asteroid encounter for Lucy, launched in 2021 on a quest that will take it to 11 space rocks. The close approaches should help scientists better understand our early solar system. When planets were forming, asteroids are the ancient leftovers. Yes? India's Modi must discussed potential collaboration in technology. That's weird, because Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi said Friday he had discussed possible collaboration on technology and innovation. Well, BRICS. Well, if the end of BRICS happens, then the Western nations will have the grasp that it ever wanted. If China broke up into whatever nations, there'll be Well, there'll be few countries that'll be celebrating that, while other nations were like, no, China is gone. But then, of course, another question. Oh yeah, Taiwan would be ecstatic for that. Mostly, maybe. No. Well, if a united Korea were to happen, well, firstly, most of the governance and other logistics would be defaulted to the existing infrastructure of South Korea, including its sports teams, and of course, at least in the first year of a united Korea, the first thing that they will do is development plans for the northern part of the United Korea that was once North Korea, because for many decades, North Korea hasn't changed a bit. And I think a united Korea will look into potential development plans for what was once North Korea to see if there are communities within that part of the United Korea to be on par with the southern part of the United Korea. I don't think so, because I think Russia is happy at the size it is now. Who? China? Probably not. Probably no. The UK is small enough as it is. Yeah, and there are a few people. There have been people that lived on the Chagos Islands as well. So what say did they get? What say did they get in that? No. YouTube is still going strong. We mean maybe not. I think this is out the grey area. A lot of deep south states would outrage for sure. No, I mean they would outrage if Trump doesn't get another term, if it was allowed. Yes, I think people in the deep south really want Trump another term with Trump, if that was possible. Exactly. I think a lot of Democrats will not be happy with Trump not refusing the power that he currently has. But no matter how much they protest or outrage, there won't be much change that was going to come out of that. Yeah, I think California, for the most part, believes it has potential to be its own nation. That's us.